Good evening, everybody. We're going to get going in a couple of minutes. Thank you for your patience. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. Before we get into it, if you just read through the risk disclaimer. If you're on our live YouTube stream, I can't see the chat, but if you want to talk to us, just use the link and register for the webinar, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Other than that, I can't see the YouTube chat, so I can't answer your questions. For everybody else, questions to the question and answer box. I've also got the chat box open too. So please just read through the risk disclaimer before we move along. All right, let's move along. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a senior market strategist and trading mentor here at ACY Securities. Full-time trader. I've been trading for more than 15 years and mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, just shoot me an email to duncan.cooper@acy.com. Now you can connect with me at our website, acy.com Market News tab, at our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and you can connect with me personally if you like to at Twitter and LinkedIn on those handles. As well, through the week in our Telegram channel, I'm providing analysis in there. If you want to get access, just contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. I'll put his details in the chat in a moment. As well, if you want to get my chart layouts that look like this in the chart here up at the top, simply contact Nathan. He will organize that for you as well, so you can follow along in the webinars and the live analysis. So just contact Nathan, and I'll put his details in the chat now. So just bear with me. All right, so his details are in the chat. Just give him an email, send him, or give him a call. He will set all that up for you. All right, before we get into the charts, we will just get into a quick look at the news. No news for the day, but a couple of items coming up this week. US dollar CPI, core CPI tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. And Thursday, US dollar PPI data. And on Friday, we've got the pound GP data coming out. So just be aware of those. Some pairs a little bit sideways-ish. Just trading in the range of last week. Seeing a little bit of a US dollar weakness on a couple of pairs. So the market may well be waiting to see what these items will bring, especially tomorrow's CPI data, 10:30. So with that in mind, just be aware of it's going to be volatile when certainly the US CPI data comes out and the PPI data comes out. All right, just going to have a look around the charts. Price has already been moving up a little bit on some of these pairs. There's been a couple of opportunities at the central pivot on a few pairs. Other pairs have already moved. Just seeing if there's anything that is catching my fancy that might be imminent. All right, as you can see, a lot of pairs have found some support at the central pivot point and already moved. They're already moving up to the highs for the day. All right, let's just start with the dollar index first of all. This is the weekly look. Well, I'll go to the monthly look first of all. Nothing much changed on the monthly. We're still testing these resistance levels. Well, we haven't tested them this month, but we tested them last month. 108.09 and 109.24. And whilst we rejected that area on the monthly, we are positive for the month. We haven't been able to have a month down. So all's still in trend there, even though we did have a rejection up there. Weekly's been having 3 weeks down, but last week was quite positive. And I had this area, those tops highlighted in. If I can get it to come back on the chart. No, I can't. I'll just draw it back in. That area, those two tops I'd highlighted in, we moved into that area last week and rejected. So I might retest there. Daily chart is put in a minor higher bottom. I've got 2 boxes in there now. All right. We've got a slight higher bottom coming in there. We might come back down to test that level though, maybe to find some more support. Or of course we could break down through. The US dollar will probably be the ultimate thing that convinces this to find support to move back up or move down. So just watch what that's doing. At the moment, some pairs to the US dollar are definitely moving up because this is moving down a fraction. And the S&P 500 at the moment, it's not doing much. It's just halting at some weekly resistance, 2 weekly lows over here. And all of this major range here at the 50% point. So it's just pausing. There's a bit of consolidation going on at the moment on a number of things. So that's consolidating. A bit of US dollar weakness. And just want to go, I'm just going to click through my charts again. All right, everything's at the top of its move at the moment. All right, now the dollar yen, I did a video review of this pair today, suggesting that, I've got the weekly chart, that we've put in a higher bottom here, pulled back to weekly support last week, 62% retracement, and we moved back up to retest now monthly resistance at 135.16. And I'm anticipating we may well move up to test that weekly top up here over time. Now the daily chart, we are still a little bit structured to the downside, but we're moving back up on that rejection from the weekly chart. Maybe there's a little bit of a higher bottom formed here. So at the moment we're at resistance. And I don't like to trade into resistance. And what I was saying in my video analysis today was, well, if we can move above monthly and daily resistance here, monthly resistance at 135.16, daily at 135.68, do we then get a pullback? Ideally back to 135.16, or would that then offer support to continue the move up? All right. Now, of course, we could hold at resistance and move down, but long term, this pair's in an uptrend. So I think we've had a weekly pullback and we're getting ready for the next longer term move up. So just seeing whether we can break above and then can that area become resistance. Now, of course, if you are on the other side of the coin, you could be looking for failure at 135.16 monthly resistance. Go to the monthly chart and squash it in. That monthly level I'm talking about is this top over here. But if you've been following the dollar yen, you should have that level in by now. You should know that 135.16 is a major monthly top, but there it is. So we've been above it, we've fallen back below it, we're head-butting into it at the moment. So I'd like price to get above it, and then can price pull back to it. So at the moment, it's not breaking above. Now, you could be on the other side of the coin thinking that we're going to move down from that level. So you could be waiting for a failure at that level to trade down. There is that option. It has given a little bit of a failure today. But the monthly chart, the weekly chart trends are up. So I think it's just a matter of time before we break through that level. If you want to be really bold, you could be clicking in right now, stop below the low, on the idea that we're going to break through. You wouldn't have to risk much for the potential of a breakthrough and up. But I much prefer to trade up from support rather than trying to trade into resistance to break. All right, so you need to make your own ultimate decisions. Is 135.16 going to be resistance all week to move down? Or are we going to break through and up? Or I'm going with the higher time frame trends, and we're looking for a break first of all, and then can we pull back to that level to move off and up? All right, that's what I'm looking for on the dollar yen. Aussie yen, going to day chart, I'm anticipating, I said that this last week, that we're going to move up to the top of this range. All right, trade entry, there was one earlier in the day. We've been down to the central pivot point. In a strong pair, in a strong uptrend on a pair, we often only pull back to the central pivot point. We've got the central pivot point in the figure there, 94. We've come back for a retest. Had an entry through there to trade up. You could have traded it down on first contact. In any event, that was the area down here where you should have been looking to get your long in today if you wanted to trade this pair. Now it's already moved. So I would have to see something else form now. That was the area to look for. We could pull back to that level and it could offer support further again. 94 could offer support once more tomorrow. But at the moment, that was the area to look for the trade today. And then looking up here at the top, back to my daily, looking up at daily resistance here at 95.32 or weekly resistance at 95.73. That's the top of the range. So when we get to the top of the range, if price doesn't want to move through, we should be looking to trade down from the top of the range. We had a very nice double top form there last time, which gave a very good pullback. So we may well see further failure there. Time will tell. All right, at the moment, we've already missed the most opportune entry. It's looking like though it's trading up for the day. Aussie Dollar posted this in the Telegram today. Now on the day chart, we had a positive day yesterday, came back above this monthly resistance, 69.67, and we couldn't really get too much above monthly resistance at 69.93, but positive day. What I was looking at then was today, could we find support at 69.67? We've moved above monthly resistance. It should maybe be support. It has been today. So that's what I'm looking for on the dollar yen. Can it move above 135.16 on the dollar yen? Then pull back to be support like it did here today. So I was looking at monthly supports, central pivot point, would that offer support today? And we can clearly see that that level has offered support. Now it's testing monthly resistance. So if you traded that, you should be at break even, hoping for a break above at the moment. Where it is now, you don't want to be buying into resistance. You've already missed the best opportunity for the day. Now we may well move up beyond 70.100 today. If we can close above 70.100 today, look at 70.100 to be support tomorrow for a further move up the chart. Long term, I mentioned this last week, long term, I'm expecting potentially, assuming we can still be moving up, that we might get to the 62% level of this weekly range. That's at 70.53. All right, so there's about 60 pips to go before we get there. So 70.53 and this daily resistance level here at 70.69, that's an area where I'm watching for failure. But we're not there yet. So if it wants to get there, of course, price needs to move up. So there might be a trading opportunity to get to that level as price moves up. But you've missed today's level. I'll put that in the Telegram this morning. So hopefully one or two of you may have gotten onto that one. All right, so that's moving up. Euro yen. Now, I think we've had a major failure down here. Support coming in on monthly support. If I go to the monthly chart, I know there's lots of lines here, but 2 monthly tops. This is where it's so important. I went through, I think it was last week, market structure, importance, and there was your market structure down there last week, monthly support. Now the weekly trend is actually down, but the monthly trend is up, getting support on monthly support. Is that a very deep pullback for a run up to 144? That's what I'm anticipating. I was fortunate to get long last week. So where's price? I'm only 300 pips up on this, which is fortunate for me. So I'm trying to trade it up to the top, but we'll see how that can go. MACD is starting to cross up. Now getting on board, if you're not already on board, 4-hour trend structure is quite clearly in play there. Drag your fib from the high bottom up to the current high. Look for a pullback within the fib, 62.79% level, if price offers you that. If price keeps moving up, I'm just going to keep dragging the fib up. But as well, in terms of getting in on this nice trend up at the moment, if it doesn't want to operate around the fib, then to the 15-minute chart, price we're already above 138. If we clearly move and hold above 138 today, look at 138 to be support and a pullback. Look at tomorrow to pull back to the central pivot point. So like on the Aussie yen, in a strong trend, often the next day, we're pulling back to the figure, we're pulling back to the central pivot point. Sometimes both things are very close together. All right, so that's what I look for in a strong trend. Where's the figure? Are we pulling back to the closest one? Where's the central pivot point? Are we pulling back to that? Often, either one of those two levels will offer support for the day. So look for that on the euro yen tomorrow. It's already moved. All right. Now, it might offer you a dip, but it's already moved up. I don't like to get in on a pair once it's already moved up, 100 pips. Getting in earlier in the day, I was actually looking down here to a weekly support in the figure down here, but we never got down there today. All right. But if you are just looking for a pivot point support, there was, however you want to draw your trend line, you can draw a more closer one in there. You could have drawn a trend line in there and found a pivot point support to move up, and that would have worked out quite nicely. All right, so tomorrow look for pullback to the figure. If we're above 138 on the close, look at the 138 level to be support. Look at the central pivot point to be support. Back to the daily. Next headline, resistance is at 139.16 here. So there's another 100 pips to go before we have to challenge that level. All right. Well, we're having a significant reversal from down here. Monthly chart is already positive for the month, and we've actually had a month down, and we're positive for the month. So this is quite aggressive move back up from that area. Euro dollar. Now this is still today's chart in this consolidation, and what I want to show you on my other charts, my euro dollar, what I'm looking at, I would prefer this. I've been saying this for I don't know how many weeks now, for this to come up to 103.40, broken monthly support, but we've formed this consolidation region, and I'm looking at last week's range, which was a negative candle. Could we come up to 102.78 day resistance and hold? Could we come up to 102.57 and hold? The 79% retracement of last week's candle. Maybe we've already topped. Maybe last week's high is the top, and we're tracing within the range of last week's trading to trade down. So this is very consolidatory. If I was looking for an entry, my perfect entry is up here at 103.40, but in the week, if I see it fail at 102.78 or 102.93, last week's high, those would be good levels to see weakness to trade back down. Now you can see already on the 4-hour candle that we are not getting up to that 79% level. So we may well, let's go back to my other charts. We may well, I'll just put the fib in on these charts. We may well fail just underneath that low there, 102.53 today. And 102.57 to 79% fib. So that would be a good area to see price stop at. So if you start to see a reversal there, we could well trade back down. All right, so that's definitely an area to watch within that range. But getting up to the top of the range would be more ideal. But price doesn't always want to give you the best level. That is a good level. It's not the best level. Best level would definitely be revisiting 102.78, where we false broke last week. All right. 102.78 is just there. Of course, both of those levels in the red pivots. So it's in the area where you're going to get selling pressure as well. Pound yen, day chart. We're in the middle of the range, but I've got the range kind of drawn out here. Top of the range, the bottom of the range. In all probability, it's moving up to the top of the range. All these yen pairs are kind of moving the same way. Moving up from supports. So I expect it to fail at a clear area of resistance at the top of a range. So the 4-hour is high tops and bottoms. It's a bit more consolidatory than, for example, the euro yen, in that it's not moving up to new highs. So I would probably, if I was going to engage on this pair, I'd like to see price move above those highs. Then can we see a fib pullback to 62.79? Where it is right now doesn't get me that excited because we're sitting right in the middle of the range. Getting in down here on support or close to trade up to resistance is ideal in the middle of the range. Sometimes we can fail in the middle of the range to turn back down. So it's not the perfect area for me to look at. Perfect area to trade would be up here, 166.24. Watch what price does up there. Does price get there and fail? So watch the other yen pairs that could well be at their resistance levels at the same time, like the Aussie yen. If that got up to, if the Aussie yen gets up to its resistance, in all probability, this will too. And then you're looking for a correlated move to both pairs start to turn over. All right. Just drop to the 15. Not seeing anything too much there. Tomorrow, if we get a nice close above 163, watch 163 to be support tomorrow. Okay. At the moment, we were a little bit above and below. But if we now are convincingly above and we stay convincingly above, watch for that to be possible support tomorrow. Pound dollar. It's a bit range bound. I'm going to go to my other charts. What I'm looking for on the pound dollar. There's last week's range, the red candle down. Be great if this, it's getting some form of support at the moment from 102.56, which is the daily chart support here. Now we've had a negative week last week. Weekly trend is down. It would be nice if this could get a high rally up and fail at the 79% level. We've got last month's high here at 122.45 as well. 79% at 122.31. Weekly resistance at 122.51. So we just managed to get above last month's high and weekly resistance for a while before failing. So getting back up into that area this week would be a great area to watch for a failure. All right, and often I'm just waiting for price to get to a level. All right. I'm asking myself, where is the best level? If the overall trend on this pair is down, where would be the best level to trade down from? That would be the best level to trade down from. All right. Now, I know price has to move up to get there. So you could say, well, why can't I buy to get up there? You can trade it up there if you want to. At the moment, today, you've already missed the move. This could come back down to the figure, central pivot point, find support intraday for a further move up, but you'll just have to monitor. I just want to emphasize on my other charts, pound dollar, the weekly chart is down. There's the range that we're moving back up within. And we got a fraction short of the 62 level at 123.20 last week. Maybe, and see that negative weekly candle. So that's why I'm looking to, can I sell that pair high up within last week's candle? That's what I'm looking for. For potentially last week's high to be a lower top. All right. Now we might move up above last week's high to get to the 62. Sometimes it fails fractionally short of the 62. So you just have to monitor. So I'm going to be monitoring the area that I showed you. Back to my charts. Up here. All right. Just biding my time. We got the news coming out on, let's say, Friday for the pound. I might have to wait till Friday, see what that news brings, see whether we can get a news of volatility spike up to that level. That's fine. I can wait till Friday. All right, New Zealand yen. Similar to the Aussie yen, there's support. Here's resistance at the top. This has failed up here in recent times, once, twice, 3 times. So we're in the middle of the range. In the middle isn't the perfect place to be trading at support or at resistance in a range. So I'm going to watch the top of the range. We failed there 3 times. We could well fail there the 4th time. All right. It is coming up from a lower place, so it could fail there once more. All right. So just watching 86.40. That is actually, I know that top's very close, but it's actually a monthly resistance area over here that I've got drawn in. So anywhere from 86.40 up to any of these day chart tops up here, just watch what price does. And if I wanted an exact level to maybe look at, see how this top, folks, broke that top. I know it's a monthly top, so often we don't quite stop at monthly levels, but that day top at 86.56. I'm going to be watching that top very closely for failure. Now, on the 4-hour chart, if you want to trade up, drag the fib up. On the 4-hour uptrend here, does it give you a pullback to the 62.79 level? All right. I don't like to buy at the top of the move. I like to buy pullbacks, buying the dips in the intraday. All right, so that's New Zealand yen, New Zealand dollar. Same deal. Last week we had a negative candle. I'll show you my other charts. There's the weekly. We've actually had, the last 2 weeks have made 2 fresh highs. However, both have finished negative from the week before. So we were negative the week before and we were negative last week, even though we made a fresh high on the week before. So we're going up, but then we're heavily getting sold back down. And notably, though, we're still managing to hold above this monthly support level, 62.04. But finishing very negative on the weekly. So I'm looking at the height of that weekly candle. Going to be watching. We false broke last month's high. Went through a webinar on this, the importance of the monthly highs and lows. Look, it failed on the pound dollar last week, failed on the New Zealand dollar last week. If you were starting to hint that that's failing there, that traded down over 100 pips. So we may well come back up to that level. 79% levels at 63.21. Last month's highs at 63.28. That would be a great area to watch for a sell. So again, it's just some of these areas I'm watching. I'm just watching. Is price going to move to those levels? Now, of course, at the moment, what I'm seeing is lower top, further lower top at the 62 level of the week range from last week. Maybe we're failing here. All right. But I'd much prefer to be trading down from there. And sometimes when looking at pair, I don't end up trading it because the price doesn't get to where I'd like to trade. I always like to trade at the highest levels if possible. And the reason for that is, well, one, it's a better fill for a trade down. And the more that price has to move up to get to that level this week, the higher chance price is getting stretched, the higher chance price will. Even if I'm wrong, the higher the chances that price will come up to that level, withdraw enough so I can get my risk out before deciding to move through. All right, so the higher up that you can look to trade, if you're dealing with a downtrend overall, the better, and do the opposite in an uptrend. Because then even if you're ultimately wrong, you can still be right from the point of view of being break even. All right. So it's not always a question of, well, I'm at the 62 right now, so I'm going to click in because I'm concerned. I don't want to miss out. It might get to the 79% level, but I don't want to miss out. But, this might just go straight through the 79, through the top. And you got in down at the lowest point of the 62 to 79. So I don't mind missing out. I much prefer to try to get in at the highest levels if possible. Okay. All right. Let me go to my other charts for dollar Canadian. Dollar Canadian is not changing too much. I've been making the commentary that I don't want to be trading into this resistance area. Weekly resistance 29.01, monthly resistance at 29.63, weekly resistance further up at 130.76. So I've been saying if it got down to 79% level, that would be a better level to watch. So you can see the problems this pair is having, even though it's forming an uptrend here of sorts, it can't last in the resistance area. All right. So if you're going to be buying that pair within the trend, you got to buy it on the low points of these dips. Let's just have a look at this on the 4-hour chart. It is at the 79 of the 4-hour pullback. So potentially you be trade this pair. Let's look at the 15. It's in an area where the market gets support to put a further move up. 15 still negative at the moment. We started to see some bullish price action on the 50-minute chart, trend line break to the upside. Maybe that 79% level is going to offer support for the day. But back to my daily, I would still, if I wanted to trade this pair, I would be still sitting on my hands waiting for that 79% pullback. It offers you the best opportunity and space to trade back up to retest resistance and have the opportunity of making money. If you're having to headbutt into resistance and it keeps flopping back down, life's very difficult. All right. So that's my thoughts on the dollar Canadian. Same as last week. I would like it to pull back to 126.68, start to find support. It's not doing that at the moment. All right. So that's the level I'm looking for there. All right. Let's have a look at gold. Any questions? Not everybody's quiet tonight, but any questions, just type in. All right. So as we've been discussing before, we're actually in the long-term and monthly range. I'll just get rid of that line for the moment. There's the range, double top at the bottom, triple bottom at the bottom. Sorry, double top at the top, triple bottom at the bottom potentially. So maybe monthly support's holding here. To the weekly, structurally the trend is down. We're just, if this is long term is going to continue to move down and give another test of monthly support, that weekly level there, 1786.74 needs to hold as resistance. Day charts, it's just deciding. If you want to be a long player because of that monthly support failure, look for the daily to move above that level. Then look for 1786 to be support. All right, for a move up. Now, we've got higher tops and bottoms, so I wouldn't be shorting this unless I started to see a lower top form in the daily, which we don't have. So it's at that danger zone at the moment. Danger zone for the buyers because we could fail there. It's not really showing its hand too much yet for the sellers. If it gave a significant candlestick rejection, say today, maybe that would be your alert to go short. But at the moment, it's not telling me anything. It's just telling me that it's there at resistance. It's not telling me that it's failing. It's not telling me that it's breaking above at the moment. I know it's dealing fractionally above, but that doesn't mean anything. Even a strong bullish candle today to close above would be a good sign for the buyers. But at the moment, we're not getting a buy signal, not getting a sell signal. I just know we're clear of, is it support or resistance? Are we moving above? Are we holding below? All right. And we can have a look at silver as well. Silver is looking a bit more bullish than gold. It is moving above this weekly level. Let me just go to the monthly. So we've actually come down to monthly supports, bouncing up, maybe heading back to monthly resistance that was support that we moved through. All right. On the weekly level of resistance isn't holding any longer. You can see we're above it. And the daily is in an uptrend above their higher top. All right. The actual structure of the weekly chart is still down. But if you're wanting to short that pair or instrument, I should say, we might get up to the 62 level and fail. We might come up and test these monthly levels of resistance now, 2112, 2140. You could look at those levels to be failure levels on that weekly rally back up. But at the moment, structurally on the day chart, we're in an uptrend. So, if we want to start to look to trade back down again, in line with the trend we saw before, we're going to need to see a day chart downtrend to form, and we don't have that. So it's moving into an area where that weekly rally could finish, but it hasn't finished yet. So that's, I don't know whether silver leads gold or vice versa, but in the current environment, silver's leading gold a little bit in terms of its structure there. That's moved above weekly resistance, whereas gold still contending with. All right. So there's a little bit of consolidation going on at the moment. We are in the holiday month in Europe. School holidays, for example, in the UK at the moment, August, families are going away on their holidays. So traders that trade maybe are at their desks at the moment. So the volume in the market can just get a little bit lower. The market looks a little bit more consolidatory. We're clearly seeing that on the euro dollar at the moment. That day chart, get my fib off there. Clearly in consolidation. So, if any pairs that's showing you any sort of range at the moment, we've got the Aussie yen, we've got the euro dollar, we've got the pound yen, New Zealand yen. You've got to trade it like it is in a range. You're trading up from the bottom to the top, down from the top back down to the bottom. All right, so waiting for a level to get traded to. This has now been in consolidation. How many candles is it now? 15 candles, 3 weeks of trading. Now you can see up here, we had quite a consolidation period before we moved down, created a double top, triple top, and then a long decline. Now, the thing with consolidation is the longer it happens, the bigger move you're going to get once we break, whether we break north or south. All right, so bear that in mind. So I'm quite happy for that to consolidate because I know that once it finishes, it's going to break strongly one way or the other. So we just have to wait to see which way it breaks. Long-term trend, don't forget, is down. So potentially it could be getting ready for a further break south. And we may well see a move below parity long-term. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Any questions? I'm just going to hang around for another 5 minutes. There's another webinar coming up at 8 o'clock with Nathan. So I just have to be mindful of the time so that I can finish and he can get ready and he doesn't cut me off. So I'm just going to hang around for 5 minutes. If you've got any questions while you're thinking of a question, just going to see what is happening since I've been on these pairs. Still very consolidated market. Pound dollar doesn't want to break yesterday's high here. Same with the New Zealand dollar. Doesn't want to break yesterday's high either. It's flying at the figure. And the dollar yen is very quiet at the moment. It's just deciding, does it want to move back above 135.16? There's not much. Yesterday's pullback after Friday's very large upward move only could get to the central pivot point. Today, we're just chopping around the central pivot point. So it doesn't seem to have any downward movement too much. I think it's just waiting for the next little bit of US dollar strength to push through there. All right, no questions coming in. So I'll just give you an update of what's coming up this week before I leave you. We have, and get my webinar page up. All right, Wednesday is a new webinar that I haven't run before. Is how to trade the head and shoulders pattern using Fibonacci. So that is a new webinar that I haven't run before. So nobody's seen me deliver that. So if you're interested in that, simply pop along, get over to the webinar page and register your interest. And then we've got more live market analysis on Thursday, 7 p.m. Then coming up next week, market analysis on Tuesday, trading the 79% fib retracement pattern. That's next Wednesday's webinar. It's another new one. And live market analysis once more. And so Tuesdays and Thursdays are live market analysis, Wednesday's education. So Wednesday the 24th is going to be mastering the double top and double bottom pattern. We've seen a couple of double tops over recent times, which worked out very well. All right, so a few new webinars coming up. How to trade patterns, really. I'm going to go through the head and shoulders pattern, the 79% fib retracement pattern, the double top pattern. I'm going to go through how to trade the range. So you have 4 patterns that you can easily look for and apply in your trading. All right, so that's what's coming up. So any final questions before we go? You're all quiet today. All right, just before I go for those, just check and see who's on the panel, and that wasn't there when I put the chat information. I think everybody who's on the panel was in when I put Nathan's details in the chat, so I don't need to do that again. So everybody's a little bit quiet in the market at the moment. If you haven't already gotten in for the day, price has already moved up on some of the pairs at the best levels. So just be patient. The market is a little bit consolidatory. We've got those news items coming out. The market's a bit consolidated. It's probably waiting for this US CPI data to come out. 10:30 p.m. tomorrow. Obviously, the market's looking at any news items for the US in terms of how does that tell us what inflation is doing? Is the interest rate rising that's happening in the US having an effect on inflation? So the market's clearly looking at data that is referenced to inflation. So CPI data, core CPI data there, PPI data. The market will be wanting to know what that information is. Are interest rates having an effect or having no effect? And then, the market's waiting to see what that data is before then maybe acting on it. All right, so if you've got the time, look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the education webinar, how to trade the head and shoulders pattern. So until then, stay safe, have a great evening wherever you are, or a great day, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, Cameron, Slav.